insurance policy for your fish.
Hi everyone, it's Carolina from KK Tank Tales, and today we are here in my front room in my nano tank Nook. In this room I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 aquariums, and 7 of those aquariums are quite close together. And what I'm going to do today is try to set up the 7 aquariums that are based in this corner to run from one air pump. But why do I do that? This has saved my fish or saved me a lot of work quite a lot of the times, and I'll show you why. One thing I know, with fish stick keeping, things go wrong. Your filter might break, you might need a quarantine tank because you either bought new fish or your fish got sick, or you need to separate the fish. You need to create a hospital tank. And what you do then, what I do and how I resolve this problem is, for every single tank I run a secondary filter, a sponge filter that works with my main filter, but that I can just pick out and move whenever I want to wherever I want. So if you need a quarantine tank because you got new fish, or if you need a hospital tank because your fish got sick, you can just take a fully cycled filter and pop it in that tank, and you make sure that way that your fish is safe. I got sent this pump from Hygger, and instead of just doing a review, I wanted to actually do something that will work for my fish room, and that is setting up the tanks that currently don't have sponge filters, because I just didn't have space to set up 7 fish air pumps in this corner. So at the moment only those fish tanks on the shelf are running air filters, and the new additions that I kind of built over the last few months, they haven't been connected yet. So I was looking for an air pump that would help me resolve this problem, and I wanted an air pump that would work for all 7 fish tanks at the same time. So I'm going to try this out. This is a Hygger Windstorm air pump kit, and this is the 15-watt one. I'm going to try it out, and I am going to show you all how it works and how I do my setup at home with air pumps and secondary filters. So what I try to do is always run a sponge filter in every single one of my tanks, and they basically run as my backup system. So whenever I need a hospital tank or a quarantine setup, I can just grab one of these and I've instantly got a cycled filter ready to go, which is so much safer for the fish. I also run them on all my quarantine tanks and nurseries. Just kind of the best thing that you can possibly do. Just running sponge filters. So today I'm going to test whether this air pump can run multiple sponge filters at the same time with enough power in the tanks where more air is needed, like my river tank. Okay, so we have the pump, the airline, this like 4 splitter, but what I'm going to be doing is I bought another one which is like 7, and I'm not going to be using air stones. I'm going to be using sponge filters. The sponge filters that I use are just basic, the most basic sponge filters of Amazon. I think there's 3 of them in the box and they cost £10 for 3. And because I'm running nano tanks, these are absolutely fine as a backup plan for a day or 2 or for your hospital tank. Okay, so I've got this 8 split kind of airline. I forgot what it's called. Gang thing. So what I'm going to do is that will go into the pump and the airlines will go from the individual valves to each of the tanks. And then with this, you'll be able to regulate the amount of air that goes into each tank. So I'm going to do that now. Take that pump out. It's also got, I can see like a regulator on the actual pump as well. It's quite a chunky pump, right? It comes with this pack of tubing, and I can see already that mine might not work because this is a thicker kind of tube and this one is a thinner. I didn't read the instruction. I think I have a different valve though, but I don't think it's so as thick as this. Let me find the other one. Okay, so I also found this one with like a big hole, but then I think, yeah, this one's too big, so I'm gonna have to figure it out. How am I gonna, what have I done with that 4 splitter? Yeah, so basically these are normal air pump, which are probably about 6 mils airlines, and this one is maybe like a centimeter or even like 12 mils. So what I'm going to do today is I might split 2 and 2 and 2. Well, there's 3 of them here in this box and have those kind of splitters. So I don't know whether you can see. So with this splitter from one airline, I'll be able to run 2. It's not ideal, but we'll do for today, and then I'm going to check whether I can buy a separate valve thing. But that should work. 2, 4, 2, 4, 5, 6. So I need 1 more of these. Let's have a look at my current setup now and the pump that I'm running and how we're gonna set this one up. At the moment, what we have in here is this Aqua, I think, rechargeable pump, which is also great because in case of emergency that would run for a few hours afterwards, but I can just kind of keep it charged. And then what we're going to do is replace it with this big one. As I said, I have 2 aquariums already plugged in to the pump. And what I'm gonna have to do is, so this pump will have to go there. Pardon all the cables. I will have to do cable management another time. So this pump will be here. I might actually have it sideways instead of forward facing. So all the air tubes will go here on the side and then onto the other side. Right, so what I am going to do now is get my airlines and measure up might not have enough, but we shall see. We're gonna measure up how much we will need. Okay, which one's longer? They're all the same. Okay, so they come pre-cut, which I think what would be more useful if they came as a long piece, so you could cut it yourself. But I guess they come as pre-cut, quite long. I'm 170, and that's probably just over 2 meters long each. So from my furthest tank, I can move it there, the pump. It might just work. I'm really not gonna have to do much because 2 will be going there, 2 will be going from here, which only like short bits will be needed. These 2 are already hooked up, and I'm gonna have 1 from here, which I think I'm gonna have on this side. Right, so that was pretty easy. And I'm going to bring you closer and show you how I'm actually setting up one individual pump. What I have in this box are the filters. Just very simple filter. And those plastic little tubes that you just need to thread your airline through, and then the airline connects to this little end bit like so, and then the plastic tube goes over it just like that. Now we have this return valve, and we're going to attach it on the other side. And it's really important that whatever shape return valve you have, that the flat bit goes towards the pump and the pointy bit goes towards the filter. So what I'm going to do is just press quite firmly onto the airline. If someone has tips on how to do it in a better way, oops, I made a hole in the airline. Let me know, because I find this frustrating. But yeah, it will be something like this. To set up those 2 tanks, I will have to bring scissors to measure the airline to go towards the floor, and probably this much within the fish tank. So I'm gonna have to cut it in here. Okay, so I've got some scissors. I'm just gonna cut it here, and I have those 2 individual ones now. So on one end, again, I'm going to install the valve, and then on the other end, I am going to install the sponge filter. Okay, so with regards to this one, what I'm going to have to do is just add. Oh, I already added the airline. Oh my life, I'm so silly. Okay, airlines there. So I'm gonna just take that one out, reconnect it. And just pop it here. So that is where I wanted it to be. Perfect. So all my pumps are now sorted, and what I need to do is connect them to the splitters. Where are the splitters? Connect them to those splitters and then connect them to the pump, and we'll be able to run the test. To connect two of these sponge filters to a splitter, what you have to do is take the air valve, 1 second, and connect it to the splitter, like so, yeah. And then the same with the other one. And then we're gonna have one connector plugged in to the pump that will then power through to the two filters. We have connected all the filters, and what I'm going to try and do now is put them in the fish tanks. What's important when you put new sponge filter in the fish tank is to get that sponge saturated with water. So I gently put it in and squeeze. So like any other sponge, I'm scaring the fish, but like any other sponge, it will saturate with water and prevent the sponge from floating. I do have in all of my tanks, when I scape them, I leave space for the air filters so that I can just add them whenever I want to. What I'm going to have to do basically is add the sponge filter to this tank, the one below, and the other ones that didn't have them before. And then we're gonna turn the pump on and see whether it works well, whether any adjustments are needed. Because the thing is with the air pumps, it's not always about the pump, it's also about how much you split it and how you split it, and it becomes like a fine balance between the tool and the thing that you do with it. Okay, so the river tank sponge filter is there, then this one will be here, and my pond tank air filter is hidden right there. At the moment there's no bubbles, so you can't see, but yeah, it's like through that little cave system there. So yep, let's switch it all on and see if it's working. What we're going to do now is try and connect those sponge filters, and this particular one is the only one that will be going straight from the pump into the tank without the splitter, and this is because I want the river tank with my Hillstream loaches to have the strongest flow, and I'm worried that because of the splitters the air pressure might be lower, but in the other tanks it's not going to be such a big problem because they are slow water loving fish, so that's fine. So right, all this is connected. Exciting. Right, so we have the plug socket that is going to be connected to here, and should we get a camera to show you one of the tanks so that you can see straight away whether it's working or not. Okay, I'm gonna put it on, and how do I turn it on? The pump is working, but I think the valves are closed, so let's see. No, nothing's happening. Oh, okay, so my tank is working. This one's also working so strong. We don't need it that strong. That will be fine for here, but even less because the puffers are gonna get crazy. I think yes. So I've got this working here really nicely, not too much. I think I'm going to buy a valve that has separate level adjusters because this one and this one are connected to the same valve, but you can see that the pressure is completely different. Individual valves will improve this, but the pump itself is doing so well. Look on the individual one, on the one that I want to go crazy. It's going nice and crazy. So that is really good. Nothing is happening here, but that is probably because we have this tank that has no water. Right, let's see the frog tanks. Look at the crazy frog, look at that. Woo, we don't want that. Again, we have the same issue. The frog tank is going bonkers. Let me just adjust this. The corridoras is off, but I'll show you from the top. It's not working at all. Okay, so my pond tank was actually disconnected from the filter. The filter is there. Now I've reconnected it. And what is happening is because the other pump just there is connected to a filter that is not actually under the water. It's not pushing the air here. So what I need to do, if you can see me closing that line, it starts the air filtration straight away. So what I'm going to have to do is just close this airline by disconnecting it from the filter temporarily and just running like a, where are we? Let me show you what I'm doing. I'm literally just doing a knot, and we have the air bubbles going through. So perfect, I'm going to leave that. I think what is also really important is to say that this pump is super quiet, which is important to me because it's in my living room. Like, this is it, it's so quiet. Final thoughts, I have sorted my system. Does this pump run multiple tanks well? Yes, it does. I can definitely see the need for individual adjusters, especially when you're splitting the airline, but that is nothing to do with the pump. It's just to do with how to manage the pressure of the air going in to certain tubes. So I would generally say it works really well when setting it on multiple tanks or running a system like this. But honestly, the main takeaway isn't even the pump. It's having at least one cycled filter that is ready to go whenever you need it, for whatever reason that you need it. Because when something goes wrong, and it will at some point, you don't want to figure it out in that moment. You want to be prepared, you want to be ready. And it's not even when something goes wrong. When you buy a new fish and you just need to set up a quarantine tank straight away. It's exciting, but you still need to be ready for it. So if you're running multiple tanks or thinking about it, I would definitely recommend setting up one filter pump with several sponge filters. It works really well and it saves hassle of having multiple plugs connected and managing all the needs of several different devices. It just makes it so much easier.